You're live.
Breaking news, everyone! We are not doing a relationship show. We are doing a Schumann Resonance update, solar flare update, and Hollow Earth update. Breaking news! We are breaking the cycle, getting back to some of the content that people have been asking for over and over again. We go to our first Galactic News reporter, Dale Tobin. How you doing, Dale?
Hey guys, good to be here, and I'm excited for this groundbreaking show as we go into Hollow Earth, Schumann Residence, and finally we hear an update from Andrew. I think we've been waiting a good few years for this, haven't we, Laura?
Yes. And Laura, our Hollow Earth news reporter, Dale, our solar correspondent on Galactic News Network here.
Yes, I said to you before, I think our light language colonics from last week have reached Hollow Earth, shaken everything up.
Yeah, they're shitting their pants down there. All right, guys, let's open it up. Let your inner light worker flow with the Hollow Earth, Schumann Resonance questions, or solar flare questions.
And hold on, you've missed one, and a Hollow Earth update.
Hollow Earth update. I said Hollow Earth questions.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. And what a time to be bringing this to you all when we have the spring equinox upon us tomorrow. What a great time to do this.
Yes, Sunday was the first day of the equinox.
Yes.
And what was the energies like for you? For me, it was a challenging Sunday of energies for me. It was a time where my body wanted to sleep, but my mind said, no, you are not sleeping.
Same for me.
The energies have been very challenging.
And
it's almost like trying to walk in molasses.
Yes. Yeah. One step forward, two step back sometimes.
Yeah, one step forward, one step back.
Yeah, on the other hand, sometimes for me, when you're doing the work and, doing prayers or whatever else, things do manifest quite quickly as well. But that can be both sides of the coin, can't it? Sometimes stuff you doesn't want manifest quickly too.
And that's the nature of how reality works. So, from Solar Flare Update, we have had cooking after cooking after cooking after cooking. So, for those of you who don't pay attention, I advise you to go to spaceweather.com, where you can get all your space weather information right up to your fingertips. We have recently had, 2 X-class solar flares. And if you look at the number of sunspots, 127. There is a potentially very dangerous sunspot moving around that may cook off here in the next 4 days. March 20th is another CME impact that's going to be coming on, which will be featuring aurora borealis as much as low as these. I forgot it. So basically up to.
Have we lost Andrew?
Yeah, I believe it's broken up.
Yeah, it was a bit glitchy.
Yeah, so the sun is basically releasing its nuts again. And because we've come into the solar maximum.
Where Dale is in York, probably be able to see.
Andrew, I think we lost you for quite a while then. You might have to Yes, I think he's coming in on something else. So, guys, those in the chat, how's it been going for you? How's the last week been for you, feeling-wise?
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I had an aurora borealis solar flare hollow earth internet fart. If it gets bad again, I will switch to my phone. I'm seeming to get better reception on my phone than on my computer right now.
Okay.
Anyways,
cool.
Where do you want to start?
Why don't we talk about the equinox and the solar flares together, and what this is going to bring up to people, And what would we
Let's
advise for
go.
people?
Let's take a slight time travel back. So, Joel, can you amplify the image where it shows the year by year solar flares, the numbers that are every year on that image there? So, so it shows 2015. Just scroll it up. All right. So if you go to 2012, 0 days. 2013, 0 days. 2014, 1. Who remembers the solar flares of 2014? We had the Grand Cross, the Southern Cross. Who else remembers those heady days of solar flares? If you will notice, 2009 and 2008, you had 268 and 260 days where there were solar flares. So that means in the year 2012, 2013, 2014, you had 0 days, and 1 day in which you didn't have any solar flares. Then we go to 2016, 32, 2017, 104, 2018, 221, 2019, 281, 2020, 208, 2021, 64, 2022, 1, 2023, 0, 2024, 0. Do you see the patterns? This is the solar minimum and solar maximum, which is normally an 11-year cycle, being broken down to a little more than a 4-year cycle. So there's a compression. So the 2020, 2014, we had massive amounts of solar flares that came in one part of the year, where they cooked us day after day after day after day after day after day. Heavy, heavy. But you notice 2014, there was only one consecutive day, but all of those solar flares were around that one consecutive day where they cooked off nonstop. Now, think of how powerful 2016 was for everybody that is out there. As we went higher into the solar cycle, we get into the time where we were under lockdown. Who remembers that?
I remember it well, listening to all your
Remember
shows.
it well. Okay. And as lockdown ended, we're back to 0 days. Okay. Now, Joel, if you scroll back up, the other way, your other up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We're just going to show you the actual daily storms. All that information on your left right there, X-class solar flares, equinox watch, this is the stuff to pay attention to. Okay? That's the daily amount of energy that is coming through to you. Okay? That daily amount of energy is vitally important, which will determine if you are a sleeper, a non-sleeper, if you are a sleeper with intense dreams, or are you a sleeper with no dreams. If you begin to use this website or anything that's giving you this type of information, you will find a grander pattern recognition of how the solar flares affect you in your local area. Yes, in the presidential cycle. Yes, that's right, big picture. And that is done on purpose. Okay? They want people to be cooked up in a specific type of energy during the voting cycles. Okay? Now, as I said, go back to the year 2014. A lot of you can't remember that far back, but it was a terribly difficult time. As you noticed, it said 1 day, and that was the alignment in March. It's called the Grand Cross alignment, where the beginning of the galactic elliptical plane, the galactic central sun was lining up with Earth, and then that's when all the stories of the galactic energies were entering the Earth realm. That happened that day in April 14th. In 2014. Okay? And then in August 2014 is when we had the actual event that I talked about, and that was related to the audit that was done by Prime Creator, all done during that time. Now, since then, we've had a very high cycle and the next low cycle. This next low cycle is going to rapidly turn into a high cycle, as you saw before. It'll go from 0 and 1 to 68, from 68 to 200. So that means in 2025 and 2026, you're going to see a jump between 0 to 1 solar flares to 60 in a year, to 280 in a year. Look what just a handful of them do to us now.
Hmm.
Okay. Those days are consecutive. Joel, could you scroll down so they see what the meaning of the 0 days means? Scroll up as the spotless days. Okay. And in 2020, you had 208 spotless days. That's the opposite cycle. 2023, so far in 2023, you had 0 days with a spot. That means the solar stuff, the actual sun had 0 spots on it. Okay. So you can see the cycle there. We are now going to be increasing where the spots are going to go from no days with spots. Sorry, 0 days where there are no spotless days to the opposite. Sorry, it's a little confusing. And that is the flip in frequencies of electromagnetic energies throughout the whole solar system that's going to be going on. Now, our planet will respond to that by its variance in Schumann resonance. Now, a lot of people look at that Schumann resonance meter that's up on a whole bunch of websites. Just so you know that Schumann resonance is actually only 4 devices measuring the Schumann resonance totality of the planet. It is not your local Schumann resonance. And if you want to look it up, you can go and confirm all that information. There are only 4 devices that measure the Schumann resonance, one in Saudi Arabia, one in Massachusetts, one in Japan, and one, I believe, in India also. Okay, so they measure the relative change of the whole world. Now, if you had Schumann resonance sensing devices all over the planet, there would be massive variations based off of the type of stone that is underneath where you live. If it's a granite base, granite with water, limestone with water, magnetics, gold, silver, copper, any of those things that amplify it, plus whatever's deep under the ground that's high energy frequencies. Now, where I live, just outside of Cleveland, Ohio, where Laura lives, the south in Sussex, and where Dale lives in York, they're next to the ocean. I'm next to a huge body of water, which means there's a great amplification of magnetic energy no matter what's going to happen. Okay? Now, if you are somebody that's living in the middle of the desert nowhere, those have deep underground aquifers that have been emptied out over the last 20 to 40 years because of the redirecting of water. But recently, we've had massive snowpacks that are beginning to refill some of those underground aquifers. So you'll begin to see rapid magnetic changes also for those in the Four Corner regions. Those in Uinta Basin also, as the basin begins to refill with water. Now, the journey of trying to understand how a solar flare comes into the Earth magnetic field. So, if we were to see a toroidal field, the big donut that they talk about all the time, surrounded around Earth, energies come in from the outside, enter that toroidal field, get sucked into the center of the Earth, go through a magnetic shredder, and then come out the poles, the opposite set of poles, go into the radios from the bottom pole to the top pole, go through the magnetic shredder again. Now, when I say shredder, it takes the energy that is higher frequency and puts it a scale down to Earth global magnetic frequencies. Otherwise, those high frequencies would just kill us. So the shredder converter converts it to a bioelectric field in which the deep inner stones and lava of the earth and the hollow earth technologies can absorb and empower their technologies. And as it comes back out, the different poles, it feeds the special earth places, underwater places, sacred places on earth that tap into that magnetic field and amplify the living forces that are around them. That's how the pyramid structures work. They take the existing geomagnetic fields and amplify it with a highly filtered energy that amplifies consciousness and consciousness's ability to process and understand life in general. So there is your how solar flares affect the Schumann resonance. Now, over the next, we'll just say 6 to 7 days, we are expecting at least 2 CMEs to cook off. Now, a CME generally takes 2 days to get here, depending on where it blew off from the sun and the relative location of the Earth. We will not be experiencing direct hits, but on April the 8th, we are going to be having a massive solar eclipse where the majority of the northern hemisphere will have a full view of the eclipse. At a time we're going to be having pretty significant solar flares. It is hard to predict that far into the future, of where the solar flare is, because right now the solar flare appears, cooks off, disappears. Long wait for another one. The one that is building up is going to be very significant. It's a matter of, is Earth going to be facing the sun when it cooks off, or will the sun be facing in a different direction with that solar flare? Either way, magnetic winds will affect us. It just means the large actual solar filament will go into a different direction than the Earth, but the energy will still fill up the solar system.
Andrew,
Now
can
that
I ask you?
eclipse, hold on, that eclipse is linked in biblical history to the time when the Egyptian plagues hit. That is why many of the Christian doomers and gloomers are basically saying it's the end of the world, that there's going to be massive earthquakes. If you watch any bit of TikTok, you're going to see all those people saying, Oklahoma City's got their nuclear, radio, and biological team deployed. It's the end of the world. Get your 2 weeks of food. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll have a light show. It'll be a spectacular and amazing. We might have a few outages of the telephone systems, but life will continue on. Dale, you had something you wanted to add?
It was just a question for you, Andrew. So when these sunspots come out of the sun, they go out, then they eventually come back. When do they stop? Do they stop like at the end of the galaxy, then come back in? You know, when they actually come from the sun
No.
out.
Once they explode out from the sun, they move out past the Oort cloud and continue to affect, because we're in a binary system.
Okay.
And the other star sends energy our ways too.
Okay.
It just keeps going and going. Now, there are some aspects of the coronal mass ejection that will get caught into the asteroid fields, the various asteroid fields, and because many of the asteroids are iron ore, palladium, silver, they will absorb that energy and become very highly charged batteries that can be tapped into. That's why many asteroid fields are gas stations for many interdimensional traveling ships.
Andrew, I remember you saying that as everything gets powered up, that the energy goes through the pipelines and electrical wires, and that
Yes.
aids consciousness.
So ley lines can be seen as electrical circuits laid over the surface of the world, subsurface of the world, and aerial aspects that affect the astral world aerial, astral world surface, astral world solar. So remember, we're a multidimensional world layered on top of each other. And the many layers can combine and have crossovers during solar flares. High energy circuits convert and connect to each other. This is why the solar flares affect the dreaming minds of the surface people so much, allowing us to connect to other dreaming places and spaces, or other dreaming places and spaces to be connected to ours and have energy exchange times. The global narrative has done its damnedest over the last 150 years to separate us from the other layers through our belief that there's a one world narrative.
So do the bioelectric frequencies would affect the astral and so on to some degree?
Absolutely. It affects them more than it affects us.
Okay, because it's there before
They're
us.
not followed by a one world narrative. They have a multidimensional narrative that they can work with. Our one world narrative gets challenged when their narratives of a multidimensional narrative shows up, or we are able to see and peer into the other realms and have unique experiences, no matter what they are, good, bad, neutral, negative, positive. They're an experience that's going to alter our grander perception of the grand narrative that we believe or don't believe in.
And it has a direct impact on the aurora borealis, which I guess is why we've been seeing so many spectacular photos of it recently. Yes.
The grander journeys to understanding is how a solar flare affects the solar system, because these solar flares affect all the other planets in our system too. What do you think is happening to Mars when a solar flare hits it?
Well, it's in a it's still coming out of its coma, isn't it? So it'll interesting to see what that does to it. Is it going to awaken it
Up.
even more?
Does it
I'll
light
wake
it
up.
up?
It'll be like
Yeah.
the heart paddles. Clear. Poof.
Forks.
Right. What's it going to do to Saturn with all its rings? It's going to all those rings are going to be highly charged. Those are giant batteries that happen too. Store up energy, put energy into its powerful poles, make Saturn stronger. So the next Saturn return, for those people that have their in that astrological cycle, when you have large volumes of solar flares, your next Saturn return is going to be that much more intense. Okay, what about Mars? I'm sorry, what about Venus? How is Venus and Uranus affected? Once again, astrological perspectives. Charon, what about when Mars goes into retrograde or Mercury into retrograde? Those retrogrades are highly advanced with energies when you have solar flares that are going off, which alters the astrological matrix of interpretation.
Will they actually appear brighter to the naked eye?
Sure, because they're charged, more highly charged with energy.
Yeah. Yeah, but you'd be able to see that with the naked eye rather than telescope.
You could, not always.
Mm-hmm.
When did the Earth come out of retrograde again? Was it what year was it?
The end of 2022. Yeah, the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. No. I'm sorry. Midway through 2023. Sorry. June 2023. April, May, June 2023 came out of retrograde.
You don't hear about
And
any of that in
Mercury goes into retrograde April 1st. Yeah, so everyone's going to try to blame Mercury instead of the solar flares, when in fact it's the solar flares amplifying Mercury's retrograde.
So they're amplifying all the particles in the galaxy. I mean, not just the planets.
Solar system.
In the solar system, yeah.
Solar system, yes.
So what else gets
speeding everything up, everything up. And in fact, speeding up time also.
Or our perception of time?
No, actually speeds up time.
Actually speeds up time.
Galactic. Remember, time is a social agreement here, but there's also galactic time, there's solar system time, and that actual spinning of the spiraling of the solar system moving through the galactic groove increases in speed when the solar flare energies get stronger and stronger. It's like putting nitrous oxide into a car engine; it moves faster.
Okay, and is that going to be noticeable to us on Earth?
Hell yeah.
Okay. And we're already noticing it now.
Which is what's been happening to us. Sleep, no sleep, awake, cranky motherfuckers. Go on and go on and on and on. So Ed Pays is asking, why are schools canceling class on April 8th? That's what I just said. Many of the Christian doomers and gloomers are predicting that's the end of the world day. Because that was when the Egyptian plagues hit. The raining of the frogs, the bugs eating the fields, all of that was during that last solar eclipse that happened. Because the next one we won't have for another 400 years. So that's why they're all saying April 8th something's going to happen. They're also saying that's the last time the New Madrid fault, which is the fault that goes up the Mississippi River, went off. But it didn't, because it happens every 67 years, I think it was. So the last time it was disastrous was beginning of 1814, but nothing happened in the 1860s, which was another one, and then nothing happened before that. Anyway, so they're just connecting into one time where the New Madrid fault cooked off because there was high levels of solar flares going on at that particular time. So if you go onto TikTok, you will get barraged by all the end of the worlders saying April 8th is the end of the world.
So all this must have an effect on the womb chakras as well?
Yes, it greatly amplifies their capacity to connect people or disconnect people.
And connecting also to the North Pole and the South Pole then?
Sure, but it's an equal amount of disconnection also.
Okay.
So let's say you have somebody that has gone a long period with having no feet on the ground, no creativity, high levels of depression, etc., etc., and they're using their arrogance and their ego to try to connect to spirituality, the fake it to makers, fake it to make it people.
Mm-hmm.
They will go through a grander disconnection if they're near womb chakras when these solar flares begin to cook off, because their fake it to make it simply doesn't have the actual frequency to maintain any form of real connection, and they get forced into a disconnective mode
Because it hasn't got the authenticity.
It doesn't actually have the ability to maintain at all.
Mm-hmm.
It crumbles on the first waveform.
So that makes polarities more. Sorry.
House of Cards meets Windstorm.
So it makes the potential for polarities to be more extreme, doesn't it? Is what you're saying, really?
Yeah. At a time when where this world is highly charged and polarized with idiot politics.
Mm. And at the equinox, which is about new life force too. So the using of these energies now at the equinox for the right way.
Well, that's why these equinox exist, to balance out whatever happened in the last cycle and what you weren't able to make up. Balancing the metaphorical teeter-totter of all of the energies that are weight on your shoulder or the uplifting of your body. Okay? So many people want to rocket into the sky without consequence. That's why there's these balancing forces. You have the solstices, which are the extremes, and the equinoxes, which are the balancing. You know, you can only go so high, and before like Daedalus trying to touch the moon, the wax wings melt, and you got to go back down and start over again. That's why a balanced growth, instead of rocketing to the top and say instantly I'm a master with a podcast, thinking you're going to get 1 million viewers, and you don't get nothing because you're not balanced in the grander cycle.
Remembering to slow down, not go 500 miles an hour all the time.
Yes, enjoy the world.
Yep.
Take the serious stick out of your ass. Some people have the serious stump. It's not just a stick; it's a whole stump.
Branch hanging out the mouth.
Yeah, the branch hanging out of the mouth.
That's why the balancing now can be more challenging because of the extremes that some of us have got to.
It's a humbler. It's a humbling energy.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yes.
So for this
we're at the bottom of the hour. Do we want to switch over to Rumble?
We can do.
Let's do the switch over to Rumble. Alrighty, everybody that's listening here on YouTube, Joel is going to put up the link to go to the Rumble channel. Unfortunately, YouTube has been a pecker and a half. They've demonetized this channel. They have made it unavailable for even subscribers to get notifications. And we have got to begin to switch over to Rumble. So we please ask you all to go to the Rumble, go to the Rumble channel and sign up for Rumble. Get an actual account there. And we are going to be offering a special Galactic Historian subscription, which is the standard thing like all the big channels do. Well, those that are paying the $5 a month will get a special little thing next to their name. We will feature those questions. We will be redoing a Adventures into Reality call-in show where we will feature those people who are members. Will be able to call in and be in the show also. So yes, everyone, please head on over from YouTube to Rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes. Okay. We are off of YouTube, Joel.
Yes.
I believe we are. Yeah. We
Yeah.
are.
Okay. All right, let's continue our conversation.